My name is Stella. I am 24 years old. My family is poor. His family is very rich. I married him. But does he love me? Or did I make a big mistake? This is my story. I grew up in a very small apartment in the city. The walls were thin. You could always hear the neighbors. You could always smell the cooking from other homes. Our home was small, but it was full of life. I lived with my mother, my father, and my younger brother, Sam. My father worked very hard. He worked in construction. His hands were rough. His face was always tired. He came home late every night. My mother worked too. She cleaned houses for other people. Rich people. She would come home and her back always hurt. They worked so hard, but we never had enough money. I remember many nights I would hear my parents talking. They talked in low voices in the kitchen. They thought I was sleeping, but I listened. They worried about bills, the rent, the food. My father had a bad cough. The doctor was expensive. My brother, Sam, was very smart. He dreamed of going to college. But college was like a faraway star, beautiful to look at, but impossible to touch. I felt their worry in my heart. It was a heavy feeling. I wanted to help them. I wanted to take away their tired faces. I wanted Sam to go to college. I started working when I was 16. I worked in a small coffee shop after school. I gave all my money to my mother. It was never enough, but it was something. Life was hard, but there was love. My mother would sing sometimes while she cooked. My father would tell me stories about his day. Sam and I would laugh at silly jokes. We were a family. We were close. We had each other. I thought that was enough. But then, things got worse. My father's cough became very bad. He had to stop working. The doctor said he needed special medicine. Expensive medicine. My mother started working more hours. She looked so tired. Her hands were red and sore. The laughter in our small apartment stopped. The air felt heavy, full of fear. I felt desperate. I prayed for a miracle. I didn't know what else to do. Then he walked into the coffee shop. His name was Leo. I had seen him before. He sometimes came in for coffee. He always wore expensive suits. His shoes were always shiny. He looked like he belonged to a different world. The world my mother cleaned. He was handsome. He had dark hair and serious eyes. He never smiled much. He was polite, but distant. One day, he came to the counter. I was wiping it down. My mind was far away, thinking about my father's medicine. "I'll have an espresso," he said. His voice was deep and calm. I looked up. For the first time, he was looking at me. Not just at the person serving him coffee, but at me, Stella. His eyes stayed on my face for a moment too long. I felt my cheeks get warm. I quickly made his coffee. My hands were shaking a little. He started coming in every day after that. He always ordered an espresso, and he always looked at me with those serious eyes. He started asking me questions. Small questions. "How is your day? Are you busy today?" I gave him short answers. I was shy, and I was from a different world. What could I say to a man like him? One afternoon, he came in. The shop was empty. He didn't order coffee. He just stood there. Stella, he said. He knew my name. My heart jumped. I want to talk to you. We sat at a small table in the corner. I felt nervous. What did a man like him want with a girl like me? He was direct. He didn't waste time with small talk. I know about your family's situation, he said. I was shocked. How? How could he know? He must have seen the worry on my face. Or maybe he had someone find out. Rich people could do that, I guess. I know about your father's illness, he continued. I know about your brother's dream for college. I know you work hard, but it is not enough. I just stared at him. I couldn't speak. I felt exposed, ashamed. I have a proposal for you, he said. His voice was calm, like he was talking about business. I want you to be my wife. The world stopped. Wife, I thought I heard him wrong. I must be dreaming. This couldn't be real. Why, I managed to whisper, you don't know me. I know enough, he said. You are beautiful. You are quiet. You come from a good, honest family. I am looking for a wife. I am 32 years old. It is time for me to get married. I am not interested in games or romance. I am interested in a stable partnership. A partnership, not a marriage, not a love story. A partnership. It sounded so cold, so strange. He saw the confusion on my face. He continued, if you marry me, all your family's problems will disappear. I will pay for your father's medicine, the best doctors. I will pay for your brother to go to any college he wants. Your parents will never have to work again. They can have a comfortable life, a nice house. You will have everything you want. A beautiful home, clothes, travel, anything. I listened. My mind was spinning. It was a miracle, the miracle I prayed for. But it felt wrong. This wasn't a proposal of love. It was a contract, a business deal. My heart for my family's well-being. And what do you get? I asked. My voice was small. I get a wife, he said simply. A wife to host my dinner parties. A wife to travel with me when needed. A wife to have a family with one day. A respectable partner. I looked at his face, his serious eyes. There was no warmth in them. No love, just business. Could I do this? Could I marry a man I did not love? A man who did not love me for money? I thought of my mother's tired face, my father's painful cough, my brother's bright, hopeful eyes. I thought of the unpaid bills, the constant fear. This was a way out, the only way out. I took a deep breath. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a high cliff, ready to jump. Yes, I said, I will marry you. He just nodded. He didn't smile. He didn't look happy. He just looked satisfied, like he had just closed a business deal. Good, he said. My assistant will contact you to make the arrangements. Then he stood up, and he left the coffee shop. I sat there for a long time. The coffee shop was quiet again. Did I just sell my life? Or did I just save my family? Maybe I did both at the same time. A single tear rolled down my cheek. I quickly wiped it away. Crying was a luxury I could not afford anymore. The next few weeks were a blur. Leo's assistant, a very efficient woman named Sarah, handled everything. She moved my family into a beautiful new house in a quiet neighborhood. It had a garden. My mother cried when she saw it. Tears of joy. My father started seeing the best doctors. He got the right medicine. His cough started to get better. Sam was accepted into a great university. His future was bright now. My family was so happy, so grateful. They thought Leo was a prince, a kind, generous man who fell in love with me at the coffee shop. They saw a fairy tale. I let them believe it. How could I tell them the truth? How could I tell them their happiness was built on my sacrifice? I smiled and pretended I was the happiest girl in the world. My wedding was not a fairy tale. It was small and private. Just Leo's family and my family. His parents were polite, but cold. They looked at me like I was a strange, new object Leo had acquired. My parents looked happy, but also a little lost in the grand setting. I wore a beautiful, expensive dress. It felt like a costume. Leo looked handsome in his suit. We said the words, "I do." The words felt heavy in my mouth. We exchanged rings. The cold metal felt strange on my finger. He didn't kiss me with passion. It was a small, quick kiss on the lips. For the cameras, for our families, it meant nothing. After the wedding, I moved into his house. It wasn't a house. It was a mansion. It was huge. The floors were marble. The ceilings were high. There were paintings on the walls that were probably worth more than my old apartment building. It was beautiful. And it was silent. So silent. My footsteps echoed when I walked. Leo gave me a tour. "This is your room," he said, opening a door to a bedroom bigger than my entire old apartment. It had its own bathroom, its own walk-in closet, filled with new clothes, shoes, and bags. All in my size. Sarah, his assistant, had taken care of it. "My room is across the hall," he said. "If you need anything, you can ask the staff. Maria is the head housekeeper. She will help you." And that was it. He left for his office. I was alone in a giant, silent museum. I walked around, touching the expensive furniture, the soft fabrics. This was my new life. I had everything, and I had nothing. The first few months were lonely, terribly lonely. Leo was always busy. He worked long hours. He traveled a lot for business. Sometimes he was gone for weeks. He would call, but the calls were short. "How are you? Is everything okay?" "Good. I'll be back on Friday." He never asked about my feelings. He never said he missed me. When he was home, the silence was still there. We ate dinner together in a huge dining room. At a long table. He would be at one end. I would be at the other. The staff would serve us incredible food. Food I had only seen in magazines. But it all tasted like nothing. Sometimes he would read a newspaper or check his phone during dinner. I would just sit there, quietly. I tried to talk to him. At first, I would ask about his day. He would give one-word answers. Fine, busy. I tried to tell him about a book I was reading. He would just nod, his mind clearly somewhere else. I felt invisible, like a ghost in my own home. My only friend was Maria, the head housekeeper. She was an older woman with kind eyes. She had worked for Leo's family for a long time. She didn't talk much, but she saw everything. Sometimes, when she brought me tea, she would give my hand a little squeeze. Her small act of kindness felt like a lifeline. It reminded me I was still a person, not just a beautiful object. I had to learn to be a rich man's wife. I had to host dinner parties. Leo's friends and business partners would come. They were all so elegant, so confident. The women wore beautiful jewelry and talked about their travels to Paris and Milan. I would smile and try to say the right things, but I always felt like an outsider, like I was playing a role. And I was afraid I would forget my lines. One night at one of these parties, a woman asked me, "So, Stella, where did you go to university?" Her smile was sweet, but her eyes were sharp. I felt all the blood drain from my face. I never went to university. I was working in the coffee shop. I mumbled something. I didn't go. I was working. The woman raised her eyebrows. "Oh," she said, "just oh." But it felt like a judgment. I saw her whisper to another woman. They both glanced at me. I felt so small, so ashamed. I wanted the marble floor to swallow me. Leo was standing nearby. He saw what happened. He heard the whisper. He did nothing. He just turned and continued his conversation with a business partner. He didn't defend me. He didn't comfort me. In that moment, I understood. I was his wife, but I was not his partner. I was an accessory. And if the accessory was a little embarrassing, he would simply ignore it. I visited my family often. It was my only escape. I would drive my new, expensive car to their new, comfortable house. My father looked healthy. My mother was learning to garden. Sam was home from college for the weekend, full of stories and excitement. They were so happy. Seeing them happy made the loneliness a little easier to bear. "Leo is such a good man, Stella," my mother would always say. "You are so lucky." I would just smile. "Yes, Mom, I am very lucky." The lie felt bitter in my mouth, but I could not take away their happiness. It was the only thing that made my choice feel right. But coming back to the mansion, after visiting, my family was always the hardest. The silence felt louder. The emptiness felt bigger. I would go to my huge, beautiful room. I would look at myself in the giant mirror. I saw a girl dressed in expensive clothes, wearing diamond earrings, but her eyes were sad, so sad. I would ask myself the same questions over and over. Did I make a mistake? Is this my life now? Forever? Leo wasn't a cruel man. He never yelled at me. He never hurt me physically, but his indifference was a special kind of cruelty. It made me feel like I didn't exist. One evening, he came home with a small box. He gave it to me. "Here," he said. I opened it. Inside was a necklace, a beautiful diamond necklace. It sparkled under the lights. It must have cost a fortune. "It's beautiful," I said. My voice was quiet. "I saw it and thought of you," he said. He didn't help me put it on. He just walked away to his study. I stood there, holding the cold diamonds. It was a gift, but it didn't feel like a gift of love. It felt like a payment for my services as his wife. I put it on. It felt heavy on my neck, like a beautiful, sparkling chain. I started to feel like I was fading away. The old Stella, the girl who laughed with her brother and sang with her mother, was gone. In her place was this quiet, sad woman who lived in a museum. I needed to do something. I couldn't just disappear. I started spending more time in the mansion's library. It was a huge room filled with thousands of books. I started reading. I read stories about different people, different places, different lives. The books were my escape. They were my friends. They reminded me that there was a big world outside my golden cage. I also started talking more with Maria. I would help her in the kitchen sometimes. She would teach me old family recipes. We didn't talk about Leo. We didn't talk about my sadness. We just talked about simple things: the weather, the garden, her grandchildren. Being with her felt normal. It felt real. One day, I found a small, forgotten greenhouse at the back of the garden. It was old and dirty. The glass was broken in places. Inside, there were just dead plants and dust. I stood there, looking at it, and an idea started to grow in my mind. A small spark of hope. I asked Leo if I could fix it. He was surprised. "The greenhouse? Why, we have gardeners for that." "I want to do it myself," I said. My voice was stronger than usual. "I want to grow flowers." He looked at me for a moment. That same unreadable expression. "Fine," he said. "Do what you want. It's harmless." Harmless. Just like the painting class in the other story I once imagined. It was a small word, but for me, it meant freedom. I started working on the greenhouse every day. I cleaned the glass. I pulled out the dead plants. I brought in new soil. It was hard work. My hands got dirty. My expensive clothes got stained. I didn't care. It felt good. It felt real. I bought seeds, simple flowers, marigolds, sunflowers, zinnias. I planted them carefully. I watered them every day. I would spend hours in my small greenhouse. It was my world, my sanctuary. Leo didn't understand. He would sometimes see me coming inside, covered in dirt. He would just shake his head and walk away. He didn't care. And for the first time, I was glad he didn't care. This was mine, not his. Slowly, things started to grow. Small green shoots pushed through the dark soil. I felt a joy I hadn't felt in years. I was creating life. I was creating beauty. The greenhouse became my place of peace. When the loneliness in the big house felt too heavy, I would go to my greenhouse. I would touch the leaves of my growing plants. I would smell the earth. And I would feel a little bit better, a little bit stronger. My family came to visit one day. I showed them my greenhouse. It was full of flowers now, bright colors everywhere. My mother loved it. "Oh, Stella," she said, her eyes shining. "It's so beautiful. You always had a gift for making things grow." Her words made my heart feel full. She was right. I did have a gift. I had just forgotten. Living in the cold mansion, I had forgotten that I could create warmth and beauty. Life with Leo didn't change. He was still distant, still busy. The house was still silent, but I was changing. I was not the same sad, lost girl who first walked into this mansion. I had found a small piece of myself again. One evening, Leo had to cancel a business trip. He was home unexpectedly. I was in the kitchen, arranging a vase of sunflowers from my garden. They were bright and yellow, full of life. He walked in. He stopped and looked at the flowers. Then he looked at me. "The house feels different," he said. "Different how?" I asked, my heart beating a little faster. "I don't know," he said, looking around. "It feels warmer." He didn't say anything else. He just went to his study. But his words stayed with me. Warmer. Maybe my small flowers, my small joy, was starting to fill the empty spaces in this big, cold house. I know my marriage is not a love story. It is a contract. I chose money over love. I did it for my family. And I do not regret that choice. My family is safe and happy. That is a gift. But I have learned that money cannot buy happiness. It can buy a big house, but it cannot make it a home. It can buy beautiful things, but it cannot fill the emptiness inside. I don't know if Leo will ever love me. The real me. Stella, not just the idea of a wife. Maybe he can't. Maybe he doesn't know how. I have stopped waiting for him to change. I have stopped hoping for a fairy tale. Now I am focused on my own happiness. I find it in my greenhouse, in my books, in my friendship with Maria, in the small moments of peace I create for myself. I am learning to build my own life, my own home, inside the walls of his mansion. I made a choice. Love or money? I chose money, and I got it. But now, I am choosing something else too. I am choosing myself. I am choosing to find my own light in the dark, to grow my own garden in a lonely place. If you are listening to this, and maybe you have made a hard choice in your life, maybe you feel lost or stuck, please know this. You are stronger than you think. You can find your own happiness. It might not be where you expect it. It might be in small, simple things. A flower, a book, a kind word. Look for it, nurture it. You deserve to be happy. You can do this too. Keep growing.